Today we're going to be talking about what the real Army is like. But without further ado, let's get to it. What is up, guys? Ben Allen back again with another video, and like I just said, we're going to be talking about the real Army and what you can expect. And what I mean by the real Army is like life after TRADOC being basic training and AIT, right? And we're going to hit on both just a little bit to give you some context as to what to expect from the real Army once you get to your actual unit. But before we do that, guys, for those of you that are new here, my name is Ben Allen. I did 4 years active duty, got out in 2019, did the civilian thing for a little bit, then joined the reserves. Was in the reserves for about a year and a half and just recently got out in August. So I have that active duty knowledge, that reserve knowledge. So if you guys have any questions whatsoever, hit me up on my Instagram at Ben_Allen175. It's probably the best possible place to reach me. I also have a Discord if you guys want to join the Ben Allen community, ask questions, get some one-on-one time. The link is down below, completely free to join, all that stuff, right? It's just a community. My goal here is to hit 100,000 subscribers in the next 6 months. Halfway there, we just hit 50K. So if you guys can help out, smash that subscribe button and smash that like button to push this video out to a larger audience, right? But with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump straight into the topic, and that is, what is the real Army like, right? So to get a good understanding of that, you have to understand what basic training and AIT is like. That's TRADOC, right? Meaning it's a training environment. There's drill sergeants possibly, and you're there learning how to become a soldier, or in AIT OSUT, learning your job, right? And that is considered TRADOC. And now, what is TRADOC like, right? TRADOC is full of rules and very, very little freedom. You're not going to be able to go out on the weekends unless you're like an AIT. Probably, I know like 68 Whiskeys, they're allowed to go off base on the weekends once they hit like phase 5 plus and all that stuff. COVID pending, right? It's unit dependent, but very, very, very limited freedoms in basic and AIT, right? You're not allowed to wear civilian clothes until you hit a certain phase in AIT, and if you're an OSUT, good luck, you're not even going to get to do that, right? And that's just one of the things about TRADOC that's a little different from being active duty. Also, the training environment, basic training and AIT is very, very high op tempo, meaning the stuff you're doing on a day-to-day basis is fast-paced. You're doing a lot of it. Every day is jam-packed, filled with something. Probably except for Sunday, which is like, religious services days in basic and AIT and stuff like that. So, you get a little like off time from the whole training aspect on those days. But other than that, like Monday through like Saturday, training, right? Like nonstop. And you have a tighter connection as well to your battle buddies. Your battle buddies being, the soldiers that are around you 24/7 for the next 2, 3, 4, 6 months, depending how long your basic and AIT/OSUT are put together. And you're real tight, you're real like close knit, and once you go to your real unit, it changes, and we're gonna hit on that, right? But that's another thing, as well as the waking up super early, right? Some basic trainings you're waking up at like 5, you're doing PT 5:30, back change, all that stuff. I know in AIT we were doing PT at like 4:30. Our wake up was like at 4 o'clock. We were down on the CTA, ready to go for PT. Not a good time, right? And another thing is, as well as in basic and AIT/OSUT, there's just a lot more stuff that you can get in trouble for, right? The stupidest shit, I'm telling you, will get you in trouble in basic and AIT and either hold you back from graduating on time, or recycle you, or reclass you, or just plain out like get you kicked out of the military, right? Super strict. It just depends, right? Those are some of the main things you see in the TRADOC environment as opposed to an actual duty station unit, the real Army. So those are definitely things you have to look out for. And drill sergeants, right? Drill sergeants are one of the big things at basic training, AIT, OSUT. They're there, they're in your face, they're dogging you, they're trying to help you out, train you, and they're putting in the time to train you, right? I should say, because you're gonna see once I start going into the active duty, real Army lifestyle, it's a little different. And those are just some of the key points of basic training and TRADOC, so you can start getting a picture, an idea of what the real Army is like compared to this TRADOC environment, right? And so now that you've graduated basic, AIT, and mind you, I might have missed some stuff, you know, but I purposely left some of it out just because I don't need to cover everything to give you a full context picture of what to expect, you know. From basic TRADOC, AIT, I have a bunch of videos talking about that already, right? And this is just to help you understand a little better, right? But now that we've covered that, right, you graduate, AIT, OSUT, and now you're shipping off to your active duty unit. This is primarily focused towards active duty, guys. If you're in the reserves, guard, you know, it's pretty simple. You know, you graduate AIT, you show up to your unit 1 weekend out of the month, 2 weeks out of the year, you play Army, you do the fun stuff, right? Maybe go on some rotations, deployments, mobilizations, just depends on the unit. And that's pretty much it for that, right? But now active duty, you ship out, right? Say you get your orders, like, oh, so-and-so is going to Fort Bliss, Fort Hood, Fort Wainwright, all that type of stuff, right? And you're like, okay, cool. So you hop on a plane, you get there, and it's kind of a culture shock, right? Because for the first time, you know, in like a while, you know, months, maybe however long your basic OSUT and AIT were put together, it's a little more relaxed. It's not as fast paced. The op tempo isn't as high. I mean, it's gonna depend, right? Before I have like somebody from the 82nd or something like, oh, we're always running, we're always going fast. You know, cool, man, that's awesome. You know, but it's not the case for everywhere, right? So the op tempo isn't as high, and there's not somebody like yelling in your face like, oh, get there, as a drill sergeant would in basic and AIT. It's just kind of like you show up, you in process, you go to your unit, and you're meeting the individuals from your platoon, your unit, whatever it may be, right? And you're kind of getting that sit down. And it's a little more like informal. Yeah, you're still gonna do like parade rest, all that stuff when you're talking to NCOs, you know, and like people that might be higher ranking than you. Just depends on what the policy is for that. I know some units make their PFCs and privates just like, well, privates in general just go to parade rest for the specialists, which I think is fucking dumb. Like specialists below, like, all lower enlisted, like I don't care, like, but you know what I mean. So it's just a little different. And every place is gonna vary, and so you know you're doing that. But like some NCOs will just be like, dude, what are you doing? Like relax. They'll tell you not to go to parade rest, just like chill. So that's kind of like your first like big difference, right? Is like they're not as strict as, you know, the drill sergeants are in basic and TRADOC, AIT, and that's because they're trying to build you up in those environments. Whereas in your unit, they expect you to already be at that level, so they don't want to be redundant with it and just beat a dead horse pretty much. It's just like, okay, cool, we get it, you know how to go to parade rest for an NCO, relax, like just talk to me like a normal person, right? You know, but still, you know, mind your P's and Q's, you know, still put sergeant on the, you know, the end of it, all that type of stuff, right? Some people will tell you just forget that as well. Like you'll be surprised what people like just don't care about in the actual Army. And so now that you do that, you're gonna realize that it's not, you don't have that same connection that you had with your battle buddies in basic or AIT, because you're around them constantly, right? Like in the bays, you know, training, all that stuff. And now you go to your unit and you're brand new. Maybe some people didn't come with you. It was just you that got to the unit, and you're the new guy by yourself. So you're gonna feel probably a little lonely, honestly, in the first couple weeks, because you gotta make friends all over again. You gotta build up those relationships, those friendships, all that type of stuff, right? And you know, in active duty, you have more freedoms, and that being, you're not in a 60-man bay. You're gonna have probably your own room, maybe with one roommate, right? As opposed to seeing your best friends every single day in, you know, the bay at basic training or AIT and stuff like that. So you're not as close to the people, right? And it's a little harder to, you know, kind of get into the swing of things and actually build those relationships. So you'll see that it's a little more difficult than as opposed to active duty. I mean, as opposed to basic and AIT, right? And then, you know, hitting on the freedom aspect, you have freedoms now. You can do pretty much whatever it is you want to do as long as it's legal and you're in first formation, you know, on time when you're supposed to be, right? Like, you can go to the clubs, you can go to the bars, you can go hang out with your friends until like 2 or 3 in the morning drinking, or just at a concert, festival, all that stuff, as long as you're in formation when you're supposed to be, and you're in the right place at the right time in the right uniform. Chances are nobody's really going to care what you do with your free time once you're in the real army. And that's probably one of the better things about being in the real army, is the freedoms that you get. But also know that, well, yeah, in basic they made you do some dumb shit, in the real army they can make you do some really dumb shit, because they don't give a shit about you know, the limitations drill sergeants might have on like the push-ups and smoking you. They're just gonna smoke the dog shit out of you. So in the real army they're a lot more relentless depending on the type of NCOs you get. Maybe you have the disgruntled NCO that just hates being in the military, so he takes out his frustrations on all the lower enlisted. That's a possibility. You could end up with an NCO like that, and they don't have to stop making you do push-ups after a certain amount of time. They can just smoke the ever-living dog shit out of you as much as they want to get the point across that they're trying to make. If you fuck up, guess what? You're gonna get fucked up in return, whether it's through corrective training, right, corrective action, or, you know, counseling statements, and, you know, they start building a paper trail. Some people do paper trails. They feel it's more effective, and then once you get 3 counselings, they can build a pattern of misconduct and move to get you drafted out of the army. So there's people like that. And you know, they give you so many chances in basic and AIT that, you know, sometimes they just don't play around in active duty. They're just like, okay, I don't like this guy, I'm going to do everything I can to get him out of the army. There's units and individuals like that will gun after people that they don't like just to get them out, and just simply based off the fact they don't like them, or they think they're a shitty soldier, or they just, you know, feel some type of way about them. And if you guys are active duty, you know what I'm talking about. You know somebody like this, at least one person you know like this. And that's just one of those things. And, you know, hitting on that as well, you know, you have favoritism, whereas in basic training, everybody's pretty much equally dog shit. Like, you're all treated the same, you're all lower enlisted in the eyes of the drill sergeants, right? Like, it doesn't matter, right? But you go to your unit and you see, like, oh, favoritism. If somebody is a shitbag and, you know, they're liked by, you know, the leadership and stuff like that, and you're a good soldier, but, you know, you're just not very liked, whether you're new or, you know, you just haven't made a lasting impression, or you haven't made the time to, like, bond with these individuals, the shitbag might be put up for promotion before you. They might get better, you know, details. Oh, we need somebody to do a 24-hour CQ or staff duty. Cool, let's just send the new guy we don't like, whatever, cool. Whereas the shitbag is just getting the weekends off, you know, living life, you know, because favoritism is a thing. Another thing is toxic leadership. The real army, full of it. I mean, the army in general is full of it. But, you know, active duty, real army, after basic AIT, you're going to see it a lot more. People just in it, you know, for their own benefit, which there's nothing wrong if you're in it for your own benefit, but, you know, understand that if you have soldiers beneath you, they have to come first. I mean, those are your soldiers, right? You got to take care of them. Like, it's cool to join the army for the benefits and the money and stuff, right? But if you're, like, going out of your way to screw over another soldier's career simply to, you know, propel yourself up higher on the chain, or, you know, to get, like, you know, better incentives, you know, days offs and all that stuff, and you're just, you know, blatantly screwing the people below you over, not a good leader, first of all. And then second of all, like, okay, you know, you probably shouldn't be doing that, and you're gonna get a taste of it. I'm telling you, you're gonna see this happen, whether to yourself or to somebody you know, or, you know, just a little mix of everything, right? Like, you will come into contact with toxic leadership at some point in your army career. I promise you that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You're going to see some form of it, some way, somehow. And then moving on, right? You also have, like, just you know, just the environment's a little different, right? Like, it's more relaxed, but there's also, like, more going on, if that makes sense, right? The op tempo is not as high, just depending on what unit you're at. But again, depending on what unit you're at, it could be super high. But, you know, whereas you went to the field, you know, like a few times in basic AIT, cool. Active duty, you can go to the field a lot more. I remember my unit, I was in an armored unit, Fort Bliss, right, 177. we were always like in the field. We had Bulldog Focus, Iron Focus, Warrior Strike, all of these different types of field problems. We were in the field for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, months at a time. And you know, some people just aren't used to that. Like, they hate being in the field. I personally didn't mind it. It was whatever. It was fun. I was also shitty, but it was what it was, right? And you'll see that too more often, that if you're in a unit that goes to the field, you're going to be going to the field a lot. So be ready for that. And I guess overall, just understand that the real Army can be really, 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 really fucking shitty. Like, it can be. Now, I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm trying to keep it real with you guys. It can really fucking suck. I'm telling you guys that right now. But, and this is, you know, this is a little but, you know, the people you meet and the memories you make with those people kind of outweigh the bad, if that makes sense. Like, not just the people and not just the memories, but the knowledge and experience you gain from being in the military. I personally think the amount of, you know, good things that you get from being in the military outweigh some of the bad stuff you can be going through, right? So keep that in mind. Just know that while it really does suck, it can be really, really good at the same time. And I know it's just like, how does that make sense, right? But just trust me, it does. And if you're in, you know what I'm talking about. If you're going in, you'll understand what I'm talking about in the future, right? And just to hit on some of the more serious things, right? SHARP and EO, these are like, you know, sexual harassment and equal opportunity. These are two big things in the Army. You're going to hear about this in basic, you're going to hear about this in AIT, OSUT, and you hear about it, you have these lessons, but you never really think it happens until you see it happen, or you hear from somebody that you know that it happened to. And you have to understand that, you know, you go in there thinking, oh, you know, my leadership wouldn't do this to me, you know, like I don't think, you know, like my NCO would like try to hit on me, or, you know, try to make advances or force themselves upon you, male or female, right? I'm keeping it generalized here. You can put in whatever you need to put in, right? If you need to make yourself get this image, right? But the sad fact is that it does happen, and we need to start doing better to make it not happen. But you have to be wary, right? You have to read those signals. You have to understand individuals, and if you're naive, if you're you know, super trusting, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But like, just, you know, keep your ears open, keep your eyes open, and if you see something bad happening, do not be afraid to report it. Or if something bad happens to you as well, definitely report it, right? You have avenues, you have channels that you can use to report either, you know, cases of sexual harassment, sexual assault, as well as, you know, any discrimination, right? Like racism, to like your color of your skin, you know, your religion, your gender, your sexuality, right? That all falls under EO as well. So, you know, if you feel like an injustice has been brought upon you in the real Army, just know that there are ways that you can combat that, as opposed to it happening and you feeling helpless, right? You know, you can do something about it. And maybe you don't want to be the one to bring something up, but you trust somebody else, like a friend, to speak on your behalf and bring it up for you. You can do that as well. And I just felt it's good to end the video off with this, you know, because this is one of the bigger things that, you know, is happening in the military. Like, you see it all the time on the news, like Fort Hood soldier found dead, or, you know, raped, murdered, and all that stuff. It is shitty that happens. So if you guys understand how that you have like the power to bring stuff up like that, you know, to your chain of command, your leadership, you know, definitely do it. And I understand that sometimes when that does happen, you don't feel like you can trust your chain of command or your leadership, and, you know, that may be the case, right? Your leadership chain of command might be protecting some asshole that's doing shit like that just because they have like rank or something. And if that happens, try going to a different unit and bringing it up, talking to their, you know, sharp representatives, EOs. Like, we had, you know, a friend go through that in a completely different unit from ours. You know, we still tried to help out as much as we could. So there is stuff that you can do in the real Army to combat that. You know, the Army in general, right? Basic, trade talk, if anything like that happens, you can talk about it and bring it up. So definitely feel free to do that. And that's pretty much the video, guys. I just wanted to talk about, you know, just a little tidbit of what the real life active duty Army can be like, right? So just to summarize, right, you know, it's a little lonelier than basic AIT in the beginning. Eventually, you'll start to like make friends and become part of the platoon, part of the family, right? I hate it when bosses say, oh yeah, we're a family here. Like, okay, Jim, shut the fuck up. Like, I just work here, all right? Right, and you know, you start building relationships. You know, you have motor pool Mondays. If you have vehicles, you're gonna be working on your vehicles pretty much every Monday. You got to work on them. I didn't talk about that earlier, but I feel like it's important you guys know. Sometimes in the real army, your job, you will not be doing your job. I was a medic. I was working on my medical vehicles more than I was working on actual casualties and patients. If you're infantry, like, you know, your chances are you're not doing your job. You're a glorified janitor. You're sweeping, you're mopping, you're doing shit like that. So just know, just because you sign up to be one thing in the Army does not mean you're necessarily going to be doing that exact job. So keep that in mind. That's probably one of the bigger things too about the real Army. As well as, you know, just, you know, the freedom that you have. It's great. It's awesome. But don't take advantage of it. Don't blow it. You definitely want to, you know, keep it at a good level to where you can still have your freedom and it doesn't get taken away from you, right? Or you get kicked out somehow. But yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you took anything away from this video, definitely let me know down in the comments. Again, if you have any questions whatsoever about, you know, active duty, the reserves, my Army, 68 Whiskey, all that fun stuff, hit me up on Instagram at Ben_Allen175. It's the best possible place to reach me. I'll try to answer everybody's questions on there. The Discord link is in the description box. If you want to check that out, feel free to do so. Again, my goal here is to hit 100,000 subscribers in the next 6 months. So I need your all's help to help me reach that goal. So smash the subscribe button and smash the like button. That way this video gets pushed out to a larger audience. And yeah, thank you all so much. I'll see you on the next one. Later.